The readings today, the first one is from Jeremiah, 5th chapter. They have grown fat and sleek. They know no limits in deeds of wickedness. They do not judge with justice the cause of the orphan to make it prosper. And they do not defend the right of the needy. This is from Jeremiah chapter 6. For from the least to the greatest of them, everyone is greedy for unjust gain. And from prophet to priest, everyone deals falsely. They have treated the wound of my people carelessly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. They acted shamefully. They committed abomination, yet they were not ashamed. They did not know how to blush. Therefore, they shall fall among those who fall. At the time that I punish them, they shall be overthrown, says the Holy One. And this is 100 Block Rock by Bud Osborne, who is a poverty rights activist. Sad, Lord, tired and worn and sick. So sick of power politics, of turf wars, of meetings and committees and subcommittees. Sick of everything that loses focus, because every deception, every agenda, every meeting, every resentment, every control grab, every move for money slams down hardest on the most wretched human beings in North America, who are suffering and dying in the streets and alleys and shithole hotels of the downtown East Side. All the pettiness and ambition slams directly down on those who are most afflicted by poverty and illness, addiction and discrimination, homelessness, and demonizing propaganda. For the wisdom contained in these holy words, we give thanks.
These words are harder for me to say today than maybe most days. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You don't know what wars are going on down where the spirit meets the bone. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. The state of the world. A world of scoundrels who took the goods of others, a world full of wickedness, a world of fat and sleek people who did not judge with justice and did not defend the rights of people most vulnerable, a world of false prophets who treated the people carelessly and said everything was great when it wasn't. Peace, peace, when there was no peace. The state of the world when the prophet Jeremiah walked on the earth. The state of the world. Life for the Jewish people in Galilee was difficult. The Roman Empire crushed the people, wrung out every last coin in taxes until there was nothing left. No land, no money to buy food, people forced to beg on the roadsides, many separated from their communities, and still Rome expected the people of Galilee to worship Caesar, the self-proclaimed Son of God, or face death. Roman idols, economic oppression, and corrupt rulers. The state of the world when Jesus walked on the earth. The state of the world, revocation of civil rights, systemic extermination, concentration camps, ghettos, pogroms, mass shootings of civilians by the military, unquestioned loyalty to Hitler, or dire consequences. The state of the world when Dietrich Bonhoeffer walked on the earth. The state of the world, enslavement, beatings, lynchings, segregation, whites only, systemic oppression by the government, no voice, no vote, no representation, Black Wall Street burned to the ground in Tulsa, outrageous incarceration, profiling the state of the world when the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. walked on the earth. The state of the world. Erosion of women's rights, civil rights, voting rights, access to health care, division and disruption of the balance of power, political leaders more interested in preserving power than doing what's beneficial for society, lies, lies, and more lies, derogatory language towards people who disagree with leaders, demonizing people of color, women, and anyone who dares to speak up in opposition, fear, the need to look over one's shoulder if you did that, no interest in finding common ground, heavy-handed and unchecked action at home and around the world, lies, lies, and more lies, greed, obfuscation, disdain, contempt, derision, arrogance, vulgarity, lies, lies, and more lies. The state of the world when the people called Peace United Church of Christ walk on the earth. What we are experiencing right now, the state of the world we live in right now, is not so different than it was for Jeremiah or Jesus or Dietrich Bonhoeffer or the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Wisława Szymborska, a poet from Poland, said it this way: "Nothing has changed. The body still trembles as it trembled before Rome was founded and after, in the 20th century, before and after Christ. Tortures are just what they were, only the earth has shrunk, and whatever goes on sounds as if it's just a room away. Nothing has changed, except there are more people and new offenses have sprung up beside the old ones, real, make-believe, short-lived, and non-existent. But the cry with which the body answers for them was, is, and will be a cry of innocence in keeping with the age-old scale and pitch." What we are experiencing right now, the state of the world we live in right now, is not so different than it was and than it has been through the ages. It was then and is now filled with fear of unjust leaders, the ones who cry peace, peace, when there is no peace, who attempt to gaslight the very people they serve into believing a lie, believing all is well when it is not, believing one group of people is better than another when it is not true, unjust leaders who ridicule and demonize any who would stand up to speak the truth. In each instance, the ones who speak up are in danger. Leadership went after Jeremiah with the intent of killing him. Jesus was hanged as a traitor to the empire for proclaiming and acting out the good news of God's love for all human beings. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was imprisoned and executed for his prophetic witness on April 4th, 1968, on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. While supporting a sanitation workers' strike, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, shot to death for speaking up and trying to change the state of the world to be one that was more compassionate, just, and loving. And here we are today. What shall we do in a world that troubles us? What shall we do in a country whose leaders live off exceptionalism like it is the gospel? What shall we do in communities that cannot talk with each other, who demonize and vilify each other, who are unwilling to find common ground? What shall we do? Well, If you go back to our text to Jeremiah, if we dig deeper in the prophetic words we find there, if we are listening, we hear a word for our ears to hear, our souls to absorb, and our bodies to act upon. We cannot stop at agonizing over the state of the world. We cannot opt out of action. God is not interested in any of the excuses we might give. When Jeremiah told God he was just a child and couldn't do the job, why, God responded like this: "Do not say I am only a child, for you shall go to all whom I send you, and you shall speak whatever I command you." And as the story goes, God understood the world needed a prophet, not just any prophet. The world needed Jeremiah, a person who would not be swayed, a person who would hold true to God's dream for shalom, comprehensive well-being, beloved community. So God sent Jeremiah. And here's the most comforting thing in that terribly intimidating and overwhelming situation. God told Jeremiah that God would be with Jeremiah. God would give Jeremiah the words to speak to those scoundrels, oppressive rulers, and greedy business people. God would provide words to speak to the fat and sleek people who didn't live justly or defend the rights of people who were vulnerable. God would supply words to speak to the false prophets who treated the people carelessly. And God would give Jeremiah the courage to speak those words and be with Jeremiah when Jeremiah did it. Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you to deliver you, says the Holy One. Called by name, sent into the world by God, for God, with God, to move God's dream forward. In the state of the world we live in, it is the same for us. In these trying and dangerous times, it is up to us. We are called by name. We are called to speak up. We are called to act. It is in our DNA. It is who we are, the people of Peace United Church of Christ. If we go back to what many in the United Church of Christ call the first covenant, written in 1606 by John Robinson, we find the cornerstone of understanding that makes the UCC who it is today, who we are today. And here are the words: to walk together in all God's ways, made known to us or to be made known to us, at whatever the cost. At whatever the cost. On this weekend, when we celebrate the United States of America, it might do us good to recommit ourselves to loving kindness, doing justice, and walking humbly with our God, instead of pretending to believe the myth of who we are right now as a country. The state of the world will not change unless we create opportunity for it to do so. We are promised that God will never leave or abandon us in this task. Thanks be to God. We are God's beloved and precious children. God expects us to stand together to lift up all God's creation at whatever the cost. It is our time. It is our time to change the state of the world. Amen.